and Sue would say it one way and Sati might say it another way. But for me, I spent years working on the distillation of breaking it down into the simplest matters of this as the key spaces that we're living life from. And you can see it, and you can see the enjoyment, every joyful moment of life. It's so simple. And for us, the possibility is to not deliver programs, is to provide the structure where you get to live a creating life, a life that you've created, you live a created life. Because you know what? No matter what you say is your goals right now, with us you'll achieve that in 9 months, whichever, this one, that's not going to be it. Then you'll want to create something else. Does that make sense? You know what we were talking about, because we've been talking about it like the analogy of building your dream home, because you want to build a life you love to wake up in and you love it. I said the only way the analogy is different is that at one point you finish your dream home, but actually then I realized you don't, because now I understood my mother, which is every time she got my father to renovate the house just the way she wanted, we moved. And I was like, what the hell? Like me and my sister, I was like, what the heck is that? And now my parents are retired and older. They've been in the same house for 20 years, and they're really not going to move again. But it doesn't stop her, because she's actually done it. You know, the kitchen, the family room, the living room, built the sunroom, finished the basement, and she's now on the second round of the kitchen. But now I finally understood that's, you know, for her, it's a creating. It's not like, it's not static. So that's my version of what it is. What is Get a Life? How is it distinct? It's about taking the best of what was in Warrior Stage and those programs and for those of you who knew everything you heard about, but it's not about delivering programs. Is what do we need to provide and create so that you're constantly fulfilling the life that you get the sense of what's possible, and not because at some point you get it done, but we're your partners in constantly creating, then and then and then. What has it not drop off is it didn't drop off because you failed to create it properly. You failed to keep creating, to get the destination out of it and to create that. So it's a structure for constantly creating your life. Creating, and then you can create it from many different places. Well, as you know, there's a body of principles here that our work's about. It's creating it from those places is pretty freaking cool. So that's my version of what we're up to. Because numerous times in your life, you've gotten to places that you thought would be it. And when you got there, that was not it either. So if you actually figure out how to have a life where it's done, and then and then you're actually totally fulfilled in all of this, with it being static, I'd love to see it. I've never found it. I actually gave up looking, and I actually discovered I don't even be interested in it. The game of creating it's why, for me, it's why artists are willing to be starving artists, because there's nothing like the experience of creating. Yeah, you know, you sit in the backyard. I remember sitting in a backyard with some buddies, flat broke, we got nothing, but we're coming up with ideas for businesses and things like that, and we're riffing back and forth, and we start to pop new ideas. It's such a juicy feeling when you're just creating and creating and creating. You ever see little kids, 4-year-old, when they're talking?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, and then we're going to do this, and then my dragon's eating your goat, and then you're going to this, and that, and you're like, whoa. So here's the deal. If you want to just get it done, that won't be this. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want that, that won't be it. And part of the work that we do is to actually have people see that's one of the reasons they don't have that full experience of life. It's because they're just somewhere to get to. Let's just get right there in a second. And you know what's interesting about that? When you say it's all about the destination, I will get there, you have this goal and I got to get there, and that's when I'll be happy. 99% of your life is on your way there.
The forefront.
Yeah, and when you're and then you're there, and then you usually go to the next place. So that means 99.9% of your life is not it, while you're on your way to it, because that's your final goal. So then that means 99% of your life is not going to be very fun, if you think that's where it lives. So we won't argue for the truth of it, but in every kind of approach we've ever taken, having a place to get has never provided much. And as far as I've ever discovered, there's nowhere to get. If you get there, though, let me know. So first of all, what there is to get, that unless you're 4, you're probably just consuming. I promise you, one of you is not a creator and one of you is not a consumer. you're just consuming the hell out of life. Otherwise, you'd be walking around glowing off the right most of the time. But you're not, and not a problem, but you have to be willing to acknowledge that. And then if you start creating, your relationship will have magic to it. And here's what's really cool. When you start creating, you feel so happy and alive. Here's the other person doesn't need to do anything. And you know what? They don't need to do anything. Then every time they show up in your life, they just show up as a gift. Why? Because you're happy as hell and they show up, bonus. Now, if your partner was happy as hell and every time and they didn't ever need anything, every time you showed up, they were so happy because of bonus, how would you feel?
I want it the other way around.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, here's the thing, you don't want it the other way around, because if the other way around, somebody else is the source of your happiness. See, you're laying it on somebody else. That also, you won't get anywhere in our work. In our work, you'll be the source of your happiness, your fulfillment, and your freedom, and nobody else needs to do anything. The moment you say somebody else needs to do something, that person now, they hold your happiness and you're hostage to them.
Just drop it.
Yeah, damn, what'd you do with my happiness, you bastard? All right, so that also is not going to happen in our work. But all of that analysis and stuff like that, one of the things that Satya and I really got clear about is when we start to, sometimes the pitfall in creating powerful distinctions and then labeling them and seeing rebound stuff like that is, instead of, all our work's about taking responsibility, and people have used the terms to become more enlightened ways of blaming others.
Yes.
Or even blame, or not being responsible even if there's no others. Oh, that wasn't me, that was my default intention. That was my thing over here, so oh well.
That's my masculine or feminine shell.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. No, let's simplify it all. I don't even care if you don't understand a piece of it as long as you're living it. See, that's the possibility of an ongoing structure, not just a course. What is it going to look like? Some of it's going to look like other types of sessions and meetings. Some of it looks like social events. Some of it look like one-to-one coaching. Some of it look like, groups that are meeting, have a great time, barbecue, working on the creating versus consuming distinction every month, and what are you doing with your life? Who knows? Online stuff, and then other ideas. But what do you need to have it be going the way that you want? And I don't care if you understand it or not, because in the right environment, you'll be living it. Somebody once told me, understanding is the booby prize.
Yes.
Understanding fitness is very different than being fit. And there's a lot of people who are fit who don't understand anything about fitness. They're just healthy and fit. So you choose. If you want to understand it only, this won't be the place either. It is about us being willing to be accountable with you and you willing to be responsible for always creating the life that you see possible. That's the purpose of it. And it's not going to map on to, it'll have some familiar content, like programs, but it won't map on to any other thing, because it's not any other thing. We've busted our brains for days and months to come up with what will actually take it to the next level. And that's us being accountable for you living it, not just teaching it to you. So it's just not going to fit an old model.
Tell them about it.
So the structure is very simple. Rather than, we used to have this program was $2,000, this program was $3,000, and all these different things. The intention is simply this: it's to have it be a subscription, and the subscription is it's $250 to initiate your subscription, and it's $147 a month. And for that, you can do any program that's scheduled, as many times as you want. There'll be new programs, like Satya and I are designing a new program around this. Whatever programs that we have, but there are tools along the way. So you can do $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of programs for that amount. But that's not the point. Then access to all of the other items that we have and that we will be creating, the communities, the activities. You should realize one thing. You should know that if you say, this is what I want to create, we will get behind you and we will kick your ass. So